Hello there, I'm Chad Channing, and you're watching Chaos TV.
What's up everybody, Chaos TV is today here at the House of Culture in Helsinki, Finland, and we have the honor to talk with Mr. Chad Channing. So first off, hello and welcome to Finland and welcome to Chaos TV as well.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really glad to be here. I'm looking forward to the show and everything tonight. This is cool.
So in general, how has the tour been going on at the moment?
It's been really, really good. We've had lots of good turnouts. And I've met a lot of fun people and stuff. It's just been really good. A lot of fun.
Okay. So I read somewhere that there has been some changes within the lineup on the tour. So could you tell us a bit about that?
I honestly don't know much about all of that. I'm just kind of like, I didn't put the thing together. So
okay.
So I don't have much to say in regards to that. But
okay.
I can tell you that, the band I'm playing with, they're really, really good, and they're really great guys, and it's just been a joy playing with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously Nirvana is 30 years this year, and you are celebrating that by playing those songs live as well. So in general, how does it feel to basically redo those songs live again?
Well, it is interesting because, I don't think I'd actually played those songs in probably 30 years.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of brushing off the dust a little bit. But it's been kind of fun, actually. I didn't really know what to expect, but kind of like sitting in it again and doing the songs, it's like, oh, I remember this. This was pretty fun. So it's been interesting and cool.
So does it actually bring back a lot of memories to you when you are basically playing those songs live again?
It does in some ways, there's a little bit there that just kind of brings back some memories. So yeah, in some ways it does, yeah.
So obviously you were part of Nirvana when they recorded Bleach. So in general, what are your personal favorite songs from that album, playing wisely?
Well, I was always a fan of Swap Meet. It's probably my favorite song off the record. I also liked playing Sifting a lot. Those were probably a couple of my favorites off the record. But yeah.
Okay. Before your show today, they will show the Montage of Heck document about Kurt Cobain. Mm-hmm. So have you actually seen the document yourself?
I've never seen it yet.
Okay.
No, so it'll be new if I come out and watch it or not. I don't know, but I've never seen it, so I don't know what it's really all about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was actually watching it while doing questions for this interview, and I noticed that you aren't involved in that big way. So
right. Was
that something that you decided to do, or was it that nobody even asked you to be involved with it?
I think I was asked. I don't know if I can't remember if I'm in it or not. I've done certain things before. If I was, it probably was a very small part or an interview part. Yeah, I don't know much about it. It's kind of funny.
Okay, but obviously you still were a part of the band for 2 years. Yeah. So in general, what kind of memories do you actually have when it comes to those times? For example, the times that you joined the band, what kind of process was that?
Well, that was actually kind of an interesting one because I was in this band called the Methodists, not the Methodists, the Magnet Men, who later changed their name to Tick Dolly Row, and we had a show with them, but at the time they weren't called Nirvana, they were called Bliss.
Yeah.
And we opened for them, and that's how I first met the guys. And then some months down the road, they were looking for a drummer, and they contacted a friend of mine, Damon Romero, who was living in Olympia and going to the college at the same time, when Kurt and Chris were living there.
Yeah.
And so he helped me hook up with them. And so we sort of jammed together, and then they said they had this other show if you want to come to the show, and so I went and saw their show, and then we ended up making arrangements to jam again, and It's funny because there never really was a point where it's like, okay, cool, you're in the band. We just sort of continued jamming, and I just sort of fell into the band, I guess, or something like that. So that's kind of how it started for me with Nirvana.
So I've actually interviewed like a lot of big bands about their like classical albums, and they have always said that they had that special feeling when they were actually making the album. So when you were part of Nirvana, did you had that feeling that you were doing something special with that band?
Actually, I don't think any of us did at the time. I mean, our we didn't have the objective to like get huge or anything. We just really were playing music because we just wanted to do it, and we wanted to do our kind of music. When we recorded the record, we had no expectations of how many copies it would even sell.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of high expectations for ourselves. We were just really in it for fun, and just kind of glad that we were doing exactly what we want to do. Because it was always like, oh well, it seems like record companies or whatever get a tight hold on bands and stuff, and you worry about losing your inner artistry, I suppose. Something like that. So it was all about the fun. I mean, like 30 years ago, I wouldn't expected to see myself sitting here talking to you, and finding out that, oh gee, Nirvana's still relevant. So that's kind of like, whoa, it kind of trips me out.
In general, speaking about that part of your career, what are like the highs and lows? Do you have some like special memories from those times that basically stick out from the rest?
Well, some of the memories that sticks out is I like the fact that when we started out, we were playing. We drove around this really small, snub-nosed Dodge van, and it was just the three of us. I mean, sometimes we would have a sound guy with us, but mostly it was just us three. Or sometimes, we traveled with Jason for a while, who played with us. But it was kind of a challenge, but I enjoyed it. Like when we first started out, we'd play a show and we'd be wondering if, will we make enough money to, put in the gas tank to get to the next show. So it was very, touch and go at first. But one time, and this is kind of a funny one for me, we were driving through Montana, which is, it takes a long time to drive, through that state. And I was completely I was driving, and I was kind of bored, so I decided to drive with my teeth. So I had my teeth on the steering wheel like this, and I'm just like driving like that. And I'd been doing it for a long time. Like I'd actually, Chris woke up and he looked at me and was like, "What are you doing? Don't drive with your teeth." I said, okay. But I didn't have the heart to tell him that I'd been doing that for almost 2 hours. So yeah. As far as any kind of a low goes, we had this show in New York. I can't remember the name of the club. It might have been called the Unicorn. I'm not sure. But they had a rubber mat for, instead of carpet for the drums, they had a rubber mat, and the kick drum kept on sliding and sliding and sliding. And I was constantly during songs just trying to grab it and pull it forward. And by the time I got to
that's a really painful thing for a drummer.
Oh, yeah. Everything has to be there. And so, anyway, it keeps sliding and sliding. So I'm grabbing it, pulling it forward. And eventually, like by the last song, by Negative Creep, I got halfway through it, and I got so frustrated. I just stopped. I picked up the kick drum above my head and just slammed it on the stage, which I ended up cracking it. So I had duct tape and had to, tape it together because I was only halfway through the tour. So I had to finish the rest of the tour with a cracked drum set. But yeah, that was just that was a low. I did not like that moment.
So you actually left the band. I think it was in 1990.
90, yes.
Yeah. So do you actually regret that you left the band at that time? So how do you actually remember those times in general?
I have no regrets because I've always sort of thought that things just sort of fall in place for a reason. For example, like maybe, like I was that perfect puzzle piece for the band at the time, and then they needed another piece to do other things and stuff. I mean, our differences were mostly on strictly on a musical level. I mean, we always stayed friends and stuff. In fact, I remember one of the first times I saw him with Dave, this place called the OK Hotel. And it was the first time I'd seen the guys in like, probably a year or so. And it was really good to see him, We were just like, hey, how's it going? So it was, it was very friendly. And I met Dave for the first time too. And, found out what a, really nice guy Dave is, So it was really cool meeting him too. But, I hold no regrets, certainly have no ill will. It's just part of the business sometimes,
Yeah.
And sometimes, you kind of feel like you feel like moving on or maybe doing different things. And there can be all sorts of different reasons.
Musicians evolve in different directions as well.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I have no regrets. I look back at those days and I think, wow, I was played a small part in something that was, had a big
massive impact.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so I'm happy with that. I think that's kind of neat, But yeah.
So, in the end, as a last question, what's in the scope for you musically next? You have been in bands after Nirvana for a lot longer time than you were in Nirvana.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for you?
Well, I finally kind of got to the point where I wanted to just really start my own. I mean, I always did a lot of writing in the bands and stuff that I was in, but I've kind of gone back to the roots and some of my influences and stuff. And so I have my own band, which I write songs and I sing and I'll play acoustic or bass. It's called Before Cars.
Yeah.
And I've done a few records, and I'm planning to do another one in the summer. And then I also may experiment just a little bit with acoustics, with mixing a little bit of electronic with it or something, just for experiments. Because I'm always looking forward to like trying out new ideas and things. It's just as you said before, musicians evolve, and so I'm kind of doing that. But right now, Before Cars has pretty much been my main focus.
Okay.
So
hey, Chad, thank you a lot for taking time to do this interview with us, and best of luck for tonight's show. Anything you want to say as last words to the Finnish fans coming to see you tonight?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. This was really cool, and I think it's going to be really, really fun. I think you're going to have a good time tonight, and I look forward to playing for you guys. So yeah.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you.